losses, and I'm fucking tired of it. What an amazing resume. You see this meme going around? Photo of RDA, and there's like 15 people next to him. He's lost like 10 of those fights. Cowboy doesn't get the same glaze for fighting anyone. Don't ever talk about someone's resume being good if half of them are losses. That's not a part of the resume. He has some good wins. Some good wins. He's got like 2 good wins, and everything else is like an okay win. Every single sick fighter that he's fought outside of a couple, he's lost to. That's just the fact. He's lost to every incredible fighter he's fought outside of like literally 1 or 2 when he won the belt. He beat Nate Diaz. Whoa. That's again a decent fighter. Outside of a couple of guys. Renato Moicano on short notice. Are we gonna really glaze that much? Diaz was I know Diaz was good. He's not one of these like super high caliber guys in the welterweight division. Okay. Diaz beat Pettis, who was a fat 155er, and he beat Connor, who had a horrifically bad gas tank at the time. Like, he's got a couple of good wins at lightweight. But Diaz, Diaz, when he was fighting RDA, that was a bad matchup for him at the time. And Diaz ain't as good as some of these other guys. Diaz beat Prime Cowboy? Prime Cowboy. Yo, I love how people bring up Cowboy Cerrone. Like, in his prime, the man was one of the best strikers ever. Cowboy Cerrone, compared to the better strikers in today's day and age, is shit in his prime. Cowboy was tough. Cowboy had good counters, good head kicks. I've rewatched some Cowboy Cerrone fights recently. Cowboy Cerrone, and I rewatched some of him and Diaz. Cowboy was so overrated. Dude, I'm sorry, man. Cowboy looked better at the end of his prime than he did in his prime. If you watch like early 2010s Cowboy fights, you're going to be disappointed. I cannot think of Cowboy Cerrone as that impressive, honestly. Like, you could call me casual all you want. Cowboy's had some great performances. He's looked really good. Like, I think that at the end of his career, before he fought Connor, like in the Hernandez fight, for example, he looked great. But I'm just talking about his striking and the way he moved, the way he looked. Cowboy looked like he was doing a constant jitterbug dance. Like, he wasn't athletic at all, dude. He had some like ugly, crafty man's head kicks in there. He was good for his time. But if you were to take Cowboy in his prime Cowboy, if you were to take prime Cowboy and put him in the lightweight division now, he doesn't beat a single person. Like, that's just true. Cowboy in his prime. Listen, I'm pulling up Cowboy fights right now. I'm pulling up Cowboy versus Nate Diaz. I'm gonna have a good laugh. I'm gonna have a good laugh, bro. No. Like, let me be very clear. Cowboy was a good fighter. He was never a great fighter. And he was never good fighter. Hold on. When I say never a great fighter, I'm talking about, if you're smart enough, you know what I'm talking about. I'm talking about in terms of the UFC. Like, compared to the other great UFC fighters, he was never the highest level, even when he was in his heyday. Fought for a couple of belts, never won one. And if you look at the way that he struck, if you look at his skill back in the day, like, it's just not even fucking close to the fighters of today. I'm sorry. You guys need to stop glazing these old heads and actually rewatch these fights. Let's look at Cowboy versus Nate Diaz. Let's look at Cowboy versus Diaz. I'm going to watch it right now. Here it is. Round 1. 3 minutes, 57 seconds on the clock. Dude, he's got... Oh my God. His boxing is atrocious. His boxing is atrocious, dude. Look at this. Tell me this is high level. Tell me this is high level. Tell me Arnold Allen is looking this fucking sloppy. I'm telling, Cowboy was better post-prime. Like, he just was. I'm watching first round of Cowboy versus Nate Diaz. Again, he was a good fighter at the time, and Cowboy's a good fighter in general. But we're talking about this guy as if he was like a sick, absolute monstrous striker back in the day. He wasn't. Like Nate Diaz's sloppy boppy style is fucking him up. Again, you might say Nate Diaz is a beast. Nate Diaz is a beast. He is. But when an elite striker gets in front of Nate Diaz like Conor McGregor, they're much more competitive. That's all I'm saying. Much more competitive. I think Cowboy in like 2018, 2017 was better than this also. You got to look at the people like he was beating too. He had great kicks. He had great knees. His boxing wasn't that great. Look at this, man. Like, please, if you're listening to this, watch round 1 of Cowboy versus Nate Diaz, and you'll see what I'm talking about. This is just not something that would be able to hang in the top 15 of any division today. Just a fact. I can't look at that and say that it would. Only round Colby clearly won was the third. I swear on my life, I'm not making this up. All right, I'm going to rewatch it with that in mind, and I'm going to rewatch the first and the second very closely. Obviously, you pick the fight where he gets touched up. Okay, we'll look at another fight. Let me look at Cowboy's record. Yeah, where he gets touched up. Okay, so let me guess. Cowboy was sick that night, and he was injured in several different places. He's still in a fight. It's the first round. He's not gassed out yet. Diaz was looking good, but when an elite striker gets in front of Nate Diaz, they look 30 times better than that. I'm not saying Cowboy didn't have great performances. He did. But saying prime Cowboy Cerrone like that's Yair Rodriguez or Edson Barboza is crazy. And this all started because people were saying RDA has one of the best resumes ever. No one said that in this chat. And I just said, Cowboy doesn't get the same respect for fighting anyone, anytime, any place. He did beat up Ally Quinta pretty well. Yeah, I'm telling you, the 2019, 2018 Cowboy, I think, is better than the guy that you remember. Rick Story, Matt Brown. Listen, dude. I don't think he was as good back then, but let me look at Matt Brown versus Cowboy because that's one of his famous KOs. I want Cowboy, man. From I'm seeing him new. I want a Cowboy, man. Most overrated striker of all time. Cowboy, man. Gotta stop glazing all of these past fighters. I want a Cowboy, man. I've been spamming